And I want you to know one thing. It's been a pleasure. You just like to dance, don't you, Carl?
That's right.
You like to dance. That was famous. Hello, welcome to One on One. I'm your host, Greg Walker. Hopefully you tuned in last week to show number 1. We had a great time with our guest, Wayne Norfleet. Well, he's back for show number 2 today. And if you missed show number 1, we had a lot of laughs, we had a lot of fun, and we're going to have more today. You'll get to know him much better, and we're going to talk about a lot of things that I think will be of interest to you. He knows a lot of people. He's done a lot of things. Settle back, relax. Once again, a good down-to-earth conversation with a longtime friend of mine. Wayne Norfleet is in the house for show number 2, right after these words.
It's the Nissan Now sales event at Matthews Nissan, voted Clarksville's best place to buy a car.
Nissan was a major hit at the auto show.
$7,877 off a new Altima. New Versa, $10,677. $6,777 off a new Rogue. $11,777 off a new Titan. Incredible.
Get big savings at MatthewsNissan.com.
You're gonna love our prices, Matthews Nissan.
For 100 years, Neil Tarpley Parchment Funeral Home has celebrated legacies with services as unique as each life.
Neil Tarpley Parchment, people who care, a name you can trust.
Welcome, show number 2. Our guest back once again this week, Wayne Norfleet. Man, we had fun last week, didn't we?
Oh, I always have fun when we're together.
Yeah, well, we talked about those influential in Wayne's life, if you missed the show. Him getting his head jobs as a baseball coach, as an athletic director. Now, when did you retire from coaching baseball, Wayne?
I got out of coaching at Cleveland State in 1986 and went back to Tennessee Wesleyan as athletics director. And then our baseball coach there, Mike Policastro, who played for me, went to Cleveland State later, and I took the baseball position back and then retired from baseball coaching in 95.
Were you still AD? Mm-hmm. And you were the AD for how long?
Just that next year, 96, and then I moved to Nashville when Lydia went to Vanderbilt.
When you moved to Nashville. Now, since that time, how'd you get into photography?
The fella that did my team pictures for years was named Joe Brown. And he worked for a gentleman named Gaines Duvall, who was supposedly, well, not supposedly, the top sports photographer in the country. I mean, he's just a great guy. And Joe, when I got out of coaching and moved to Nashville, said the key to having a successful business is knowing people, making the contacts, getting in. He said the camera does most of the work for you once you learn it, once you learn about lighting and things like that. And he said, come on and go to work for me. He said, the money's good. He said, you can set your own hours. He said, you know everybody in your area in college. And he said, you can do some high schools, but he said, you know all these people, why don't you do this? And Greg, I didn't know which end of the camera to use. And after a while, after I'd been out of it, started fooling around a little bit with photography, and Joe didn't stay after me, but we stayed in contact because we were good friends. And I actually agreed to do some part-time work for him because his company had grown. And it was just in my area, central Kentucky, down northern Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi. And after a while doing it, I said, hey, you know, I think I'd like to do this on my own, or set my own hours, have my own company. Mm-hmm. I'd never done anything like that, and kind of went into it blind and started Norfleet Sports Photography. This is my 15th year.
15th year.
Yeah. And what I enjoy the most, Greg, is I get out, I get to see the coaches, although it's really turned. There's not many still coaching. Woody Hunt at Cumberland, who does a great job. Guys like him, I get to see some of the guys I used to coach against. But I get to not stay in the game, but I get to see it. and I get to be around it. And I have
Talk
a good time.
it.
Yeah, and a lot of times, Greg, for some reason, I'll go and the coaches will ask me to speak to their teams, just about the changes and stuff like that, and what's happened and
Do you
motivation.
have a website?
Yeah.
We should have put that. See, we could have put that down. We forgot to do it. Give us your website.
Just Norfleet Sports Photography. And the website is NSP Images, like Norfleet Sports Photography, nspimages.photoreflect.com.
Yeah, say that again.
nspimages.photoreflect.com.
.photoreflect.com. You couldn't have made that much harder, Wayne.
Oh, I had to get on the site that I use. Believe me, I've had trouble with that too. Most people now, they're so good with that kind of stuff, they pick right up on it.
I got you.
So, and everything's online, you can see
Are
it.
you on Facebook?
Yeah.
Well, they can go to Facebook if they're on Facebook and find out all about it.
You have to be. I don't know how we got on there. I don't know how to do it, but with
Really?
all this technology, but yeah, it's been fun.
Do you ever miss coaching?
Yeah. I know this sounds cliched, Greg. I miss practice. Now I miss the games, and I really miss the tournament games, and I miss that pit in that feeling in the pit of your stomach when you're really playing a big game, or if you're playing in baseball and tomorrow you could be eliminated. Just that preparation, that anxiety,
Right.
And I never lost that. I miss that, but I miss practice. I miss the crazy stuff that you see with the kids. I miss the trips, as nuts as that sound. There is no feeling in the world like getting in that bus or that van and coming home after you've upset somebody on the road.
Yeah.
You can't describe it. And people who talk about sports and they say, I don't know why Greg Walker and Wayne Norfleet are so passionate about the games. Until you've been in that arena and had that, I'm getting that feeling right now, talking to you. Until you've been in that arena and felt it, there is no way, you can't put a dollar sign on it, you can't pay for it. There is no feeling like competing. You against me, a good friend, I know you do a good job, I know you prepare your teams. And we compete against each other for 9 innings. I miss that.
It's just sort of like I can't go to, I went once since I've not done the play-by-play, been the voice of the go. I can't go to a ball game because I want to call it. I can't just be a fan in the stands. I can't be up there, hey, I can't do it.
Well, Greg,
I'm used to being down on the court.
You and I are programmed, you coached, you're involved with it. We were programmed in a game, a 9-inning game, usually 2 hours and 45 minutes. 3 hours is a long game. We're not programmed to sit and watch that game and be impassionate. You take a 3-hour baseball game that you're coaching, it feels like 3 minutes because you're involved in each move and the consequence of that move, no matter what. So we're not programmed just to sit back, cross our arms and watch a game and say, oh man, this is great, because we want to be involved.
Right. How long have you been, I guess we'll call it a hitting instructor? How long have you been doing that?
Well, almost since I moved to Nashville, there was a summer league group that heard about me and contacted me and asked me to come over and meet with them and work with some of their kids. And I just told them, I said, I don't want to coach anymore. I want to give it some time. I want to see my son play. I want to see my daughter swim because she swam competitively for a while. I want to do what I said I did and was going to do, and that was be with my kids. My kids were not going to be disadvantaged because I was on the road playing baseball or I was coaching. And so I got involved with that, and then some other people heard of it, and there was a facility there called Showtime Sports Academy. And I started teaching hitting. And at one time, before I cut back, had between 50 and 60 kids I worked with. Not at once, obviously, but during the week.
Yeah.
And I've been fortunate enough to work with some pretty good players.
Are you still at Showtime?
No, Showtime still is there, but a new facility opened called Area 615, 96,000 square feet. And in Brentwood, in Cool Springs, in a huge warehouse that had been a warehouse for something else that was available. I think they've got 10 or 11 cages, 3 full turf fields, infields, a soccer field in there, weight training, It's some facility, and Matt Riley, who pitched with the Dodgers in the big leagues, started that, and he had been teaching at Showtime. We got a good relationship, and most of the guys that were at Showtime that were close to Matt have moved over there with him. And I go back once a month now.
Just once a month?
Yeah, to work with the kids, just kind of touch base with them. Now, I've gone back a couple of times a month these last couple of months because season's getting ready to start.
Right.
But then I'll go back and tune them up and, work with that.
How many kids you work with now?
About 15.
About 15?
Yeah, and that's all I want, Greg.
Yeah.
That's enough for me. I'm almost 70. 15 hours on a weekend of instruction, and you know me, I'm pretty intense with it. That's about all I want now.
Now, you've got an unusual relationship. We're not name dropping, but I am name dropping with the Nashville Predators, because you have become great friends with Peter Laviolette. And how did that come about? And you actually give instructions and coach his daughter.
Well, I kid him all the time. I've met all three of his children, Jack and young Peter and Elizabeth, and I kid him all the time. And I says, you've got three pretty good athletes over here right now, in addition to the ones you work with the Predators. I was in 615, and I had never worked with girls. Because people tell you that hitting a softball and hitting a baseball, there's no comparison. Well, there is. It's not about hitting. It's not the swing. Swing's basically the same. You're still trying to create a horizontal plane to the ball and center it. It's where it comes from. It's the reason baseball players, if you put them up against a fast-pitch softball pitcher, they can't adjust, because the ball's coming from down here, not from up here.
Uh-huh.
It's line of sight. And we all know you've got a fifth of a second to judge and a fifth of a second to swing. You can't make that adjustment. Well, I'm in there working with a young lady, not Elizabeth Laviolette, but a young lady who's playing at the University of Arkansas, Katie Warwick, who I am going to name drop, has hit 5 home runs this week at Arkansas. And her grandfather saw me and he said, "Would you mind looking at my granddaughter?" And I said, "Sir, I don't work with softball swing."
Now, who said this?
This was the grandfather of Katie Warwick.
Okay.
Okay. And I know I'm going around
That's all right.
the story, but and he said, "Would you just take a look at her?" And I said, "Okay, I'll take a look at her," really to get him off my back. And since we've become very close with that family. And I watched her for about 5 minutes, and I said, "I got 2 things to tell you. Number 1, she's the best hitter I've ever seen. And number 2, she doesn't have a clue what she's doing." Not that I knew everything, but she was
Just natural.
so gifted.
Just natural.
And now she's a cleanup hitter at the University of Arkansas, playing in the SEC. Well, Peter had seen, and I don't know the exact genesis of how it happened. He had seen me working with her and wanted someone to work with Elizabeth. He was actually in there throwing to her. And so we got together, and I had seen him, but this when he first came
But
to town.
you weren't paying any attention to him.
I didn't recognize him. I said, I know that face. And so we go down to...
Well, he was unpretentious.
Yeah,
You told me just
to the best I've ever seen from a pro. And so we started working together, and I'm going to tell you, Elizabeth can hit. She started at Brentwood last year as a freshman playing first base and hitting in the heart of their order. But the thing, when you ask me, I've got to say, what he has brought to Nashville, the excitement, the level, what he has done, I never thought I would see, but they're better people, and he's a better person than he is a coach.
more about Peter Laviolette and the Predators with our guest Wayne Norfleet. Show number 2, back with segment 2 right after this.
For 100 years, Neil Tarpley Parchman Funeral Home has honored legacies. We believe every family deserves a special time of celebrating a life well lived.
Neil Tarpley Parchman, people who care, a name you can trust.
It's the Nissan Now sales event at Matthews Nissan, voted Clarksville's best place to buy a car.
Nissan was a major hit at the auto show.
$7,877 off a new Altima. New Versa, $10,677. $6,777 off a new Rogue. $11,777 off a new Titan. Incredible!
Get big savings at MatthewsNissan.com.
You're gonna love our prices. Matthews Nissan.
Welcome back. Our guest, Wayne Norfleet. Just tuned in. We're talking about Peter Laviolette, the head coach of the Nashville Predators. Wayne coaches, hitting instructor for his daughter, Katie, and she's pretty special, isn't she, Wayne?
Yeah. Well, Katie was the girl I was talking about originally.
that's
Plays
one
at
from
Arkansas.
Arkansas.
Elizabeth is his daughter. What makes her special? And you and I have talked about this on the phone and then off camera. Is they asked for no favoritism. Elizabeth, I was with her, last Sunday, and she wants to work out early. And it's a good thing because a lot of times there's so many people in there, and I never want to impose on Peter, to come over because, hey, everybody wants to say hello, and I understand that. And he is so gracious for pictures and autographs and things like that. But, there's sometimes you just want to be with your child.
Sure.
And so we start early, and Elizabeth hit for an hour, and I really worked on her approach. From here to here, not what happened afterwards, because she does such good work with the lower body action. But she hit for an hour, and then I had another hitter come in, and she hit for another half hour on her own on game situations. And that's the difference, Greg, in someone that she's a talented young lady. She's been given a great gift, but she's taken that gift and she's worked at it. And she's developed the skills that she has in great measure because of that gift she's been given, but also because she will, as I say, get after it. She works on her own. And I guess I'm part of the hypocrisy that I hate now, that everybody has a private instructor, but if you got an hour lesson and you only do it once a week, it doesn't make a difference if you've got the best instructor in the world. You've got to work on your game.
Absolutely.
And you and I have talked about one of the sayings I always use: good players work on their strengths. You ever seen a basketball shooter that didn't like to shoot?
That's true.
Okay, a good hitter that didn't like to hit? Great players work on their weaknesses.
Amen.
And that's what makes her special. And it's so gratifying to see a kid who does things the right way.
And Peter Laviolette, according to you, we're talking about a stand-up guy.
Like no other professional I've ever been around. If he was sitting right here at this desk, in the time we've been here, you'd think you'd known him all his life. He's demanding. He's brought an energy in terms, I like offensive baseball, and he's brought an offensive action to Nashville. He's got a great organization that's given him the resources to work within his system. And, buddy, it is that they are wonderful to watch.
And he's won a Stanley Cup. We're talking about a championship coach.
Maybe two.
Maybe.
They're smart. They're cycling those guys. They're getting them some rest. All the injuries last year when they had Gaudreau and Aberg were in the minor leagues and wound up playing for the Stanley Cup.
They've got two of the best goalies, even the backup. Soros, we was talking about him in all of hockey.
Yeah, what would it be like
if Rene could be the MVP?
Yeah, what would it be like if Rene finished runner-up for the Vezina Trophy and won the MVP?
And it could happen.
I think it'd be great.
It could happen.
And you hear his teammates talk about him, and they'll tell you the reason they're special is him. When you hear a Mike Fisher or some of those veterans or some of those skilled players talk about what Rene has meant to them, that tells you what they think.
I'm a Watson guy.
You like those gritty players.
That fourth line, I don't care. Yeah, I do.
You like those gritty players.
I do like those gritty players. Wayne, putting it all in perspective, summing it all up, highlight and lowlight of your 69 years.
Wow.
I know.
Highlight. Greg, I'm going to say something that's going to sound very self-serving, and I don't mean it to sound this way. And usually, you know me, I don't put disclaimers out at first, okay? Mm-hmm. I've had so many wonderful things happen to me. I got to do what I loved. I had a little success at it where I could enjoy advancing and getting to play for championships and being a part of that. I've had kids come back that have done well. Watching my children, seeing them grow, being fortunate, being blessed, that not only the good Lord looked down on me and my wife, but on our children, and allowed them to do what they liked, and they're good kids, and you know their professions, they're making a difference. That's the highlight. Greg, the lowlights, this is what I think I can relate this to playing. Kids today don't know how to deal with failure.
You know what? They really don't, do they?
And I don't mean, it's okay to lose, because I don't like it.
Oh,
the only thing I learned, they say you learn more about losing than winning. Well, the only thing I learned about losing was I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Okay, but what I think I did learn was there were times when we would lose, and I couldn't wait to get back to practice to get us better at the things that caused us to lose. Kids today, if they fall, there's somebody to catch them. There's somebody to give you a trophy if you lose 5 games in a tournament.
I mean, really.
So
They don't know how to accept the word no.
in any way, in
No.
any way, and
What is no?
and we can say it's parents, but you know, some parents are part of it, but you get a parent just like Peter Laviolette, great coach but great parent. You know, so it's not always parents, but it's just, hey, if I don't do well at this, I'll go to something else. If I don't do well at this, it's somebody else's fault. Greg, I've had those low lights.
If I don't do well in school, the teacher, she's no good or he's no
Right.
good.
Try coaching a baseball team winning 4 games in a college season and tell me how much worse it could get. Okay?
Yeah.
And people say, how in the world did you lose 27 out of 31? Well, with that team, how did we win 4?
Amen.
You know,
Yeah.
so to say low lights, I've had so few. I've had downtimes. I've had bad situations, bad things happen. But I got to tell you, Greg, the blessings I've had have so overridden it. I just couldn't. I don't even know if I could name any.
Well, number one, we know this. You got your health. As long as we got health,
Blessed.
we are blessed.
I still throw batting practice to every kid. You know.
Do you?
Through 15 hours. Well, not total 15 hours, but through for 15 hours 2 weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I bet you.
Lucky.
I bet you needed a good shower after that, Bubba.
Well, it was a tough ride home.
I guarantee you. Oh, Wayne Norfleet, what's the best advice you've ever received?
Be myself.
Be yourself.
Don't, and I'll tell you, it was validated with a trip I took to Miami, Florida with Steve Peterson, who was a baseball coach at Middle Tennessee. And he said, you're good at what you do. If you stop trying to do that because you think somebody else wants you to be a certain way, you won't be good at anything.
You know, when we were in high school, you gave me some advice that I never took it. I mean, thank goodness I didn't. But this was back in high school. You got to understand now, that was over 50 years ago. Call not, won't not. You know, but I never took your advice.
Can Steve edit that out?
Wayne Norfleet, stretch run right after this.
It's the Nissan Now sales event at Matthews Nissan, voted Clarksville's best place to buy a car.
Nissan was a major hit at the auto show.
$7,877 off a new Altima. New Versa, $10,677. $6,777 off a new Rogue. $11,777 off a new Titan. Incredible!
Get big savings at MatthewsNissan.com.
You're gonna love our prices. Matthews Nissan.
Well, we got less than 4 minutes left. 2 shows. Wayne Norfleet, one of my oldest friends. He's been a good one over the years, too. I promise you that. We know each other really well. I guess we need to say something about our boy Shoe, don't we?
Yeah, it was great to see him when he came up to visit, and he stopped by after seeing you, and we met at a restaurant, and I looked at him, and the waiter was there, and he said, man, I gave him a big hug, and he said something, and I said, I haven't seen this guy in 35 years.
Gary Shoemaker's who we're talking about. He lives in Tampa, Florida now. Wayne, we can't go over all the guys, but it's fun to reminisce, isn't it?
It is, Greg, and there's nothing wrong. You know, they talk about, oh, you still live in the good old days and this, that, and the other. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, there's nothing wrong with remembering good friends. There's nothing wrong with remembering the crazy things we did, quote, quote, that we got away with.
Yeah.
But also the good things that happened, and hearing about people and their families, and seeing Cleet and hearing from other people what a good young man he is.
You know what I like, Wayne? I can look all around me, and I love my good friends who have been successful and done good things, like yourself. It makes me feel good, and I can have you on here and show other people how successful you've been and how proud I am of you. And I mean, you know, from the Heggies to you to, I can go on and on and on. It's wonderful.
Well, Greg, I wanted to say before I left, and this is not rehearsed, and you didn't know it was coming. You know, the people that I talk to that know you, the people that I talk to that we didn't grow up with, all talk about how sincere you are. And I've had a couple.
I try to be.
I've had a couple of people say, you know, you meet Greg for the first time, or you know him, and you say, a guy can't be that sincere. Not only in the Facebook post you post and those kind of things, but the way you treat people. And I know sometimes you probably feel like blessings don't come quite as much as they used to, but you've been a blessing to a lot of people. You've been a friend and a blessing. What you've done with passion, and you love it. And you talk about the things that I remember. Gosh, you've got some things to remember, and the people you've touched that you don't even know, that tell me what a wonderful person you are. That's a great, great testament to what you've done with your life.
Well, bless you. I appreciate that, Wayne. I know that's from the heart.
It
I
is.
do appreciate
Straight
that.
from it.
I really do. You still a snack food junkie?
Yes, yes. I like sweets. I like
So do
Hostess
I.
cupcakes. I like ding dongs. I like M&Ms. And you know what? I'm going to eat them. I tell people all the time, I'm going to be warm when it's cold, cool when it's hot. I'm going to take at least 1 and possibly 2 showers a day. I'm going to sleep in a bed. I'm going to go to the bathroom in a bathroom, and I'm going to eat what I like.
You're not
If you live by that, things will be pretty good, Greg.
You're not a camper, are you?
No, sir. No,
I
sir.
don't either.
No, I don't need to live in a tent.
I don't either, Wayne. I've never been a camper. I want good sheets and a good bed.
There you go.
I got you.
There you go.
I love you.
Love you.
Hey, it's a pleasure. Tell the family hello. Glad they're all doing good.
Great.
And come back and see us real soon.
Thanks for having me, Greg.
I want to thank Wayne Norfleet, and I want to thank Steve Sawyer behind the scenes that makes it happen. And I want to thank you for tuning in. Tell your friends, your neighbors, your loved ones about the show. For our guest, for yours truly, Greg Walker. Until next time, have a very nice rest of the day, folks.